Welcome in, Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. Brendan Glasheen joined by BJ Cunningham on this Tuesday, September 17th. Two-man crew diving into a full slate today in Major League Baseball. 15 games, very quick episode, not too much to get to. 4 plays from BJ and anything he needs to weigh in on as we wind down in this regular season. I think we'll do a win total discussion that BJ is he's inquisitive about, meaning he might have a chance. He might have a chance for a preseason win total that he gave out to come to fruition. And it speaks to a play Sean Zerillo gave out on this podcast about a month and a half ago. But as we always do, Mr. Cunningham, let's start with a best bet for Tuesday. Big slate. What jumps out to you?
Yeah, let's go with the first game of the day. Giants on the money line, -115 against the Orioles. You know, the funny thing about Blake Snell, Brendan, he's actually pitching a lot better this season than he did in his Cy Young season last year. Last year, he had a 2.25 ERA, 3.7 expected ERA. This season, it's funny how things reverse. 3.5 ERA, 2.7 expected ERA. But he's really gotten a lot better over the second half of the season. And the problem with Blake Snell is he is somebody that is effectively wild. He walks a ton of guys. We saw that last season when his walk per 9 rate was getting close to 5. Although he does get guys to chase balls outside the zone, primarily utilizing his fastball up in the zone, he's been much better about not walking guys and being better with his location over the second half of the season. His walk per 9 rate has gone down to 3.6, which is really big for him. And his K per 9 rate is actually better than it was last season. It's at 12.1 right now. He's been very, very effective with his fastball, like I said, up in the zone. His curveball has basically been unhittable. It's got almost a 50% whiff rate. Opponents have under a 200 expected weighted on base average against that pitch. And the Orioles haven't been hitting the ball that well as of late. They have they have a 94 weighted runs created plus over the last 30 days. So good matchup here for Snell. The flip side, he'll be facing Albert Suarez, who is a very below average pitcher. You know, his stuff plus is sitting at 89 right now, primarily utilizes a fastball up in the zone about 50% of the time. Somewhat effective with it, has okay velocity on it, but he's facing a Giants lineup that is pretty good against elevated fastballs, 7th in Major League Baseball in terms of expected weight on base average against fastballs up in the zone. So I think the Orioles do have a bullpen advantage here, but I think that the offensive matchup is pretty similar, and Blake Snell is a significantly better pitcher than Albert Suarez. So projected the Giants at about -132, so I like them at -115.
Yeah, let's do this now because you're fading the Orioles, and they've won just 3 games in their last 10. You had the preseason win total under on Baltimore. Sean Zerillo, not too long ago, there was a even money price on taking the Yankees to win the division over Baltimore. And as that market currently sits, I believe the Yankees are pretty significant favorites now.
Minus 750, I believe.
Okay. Let me see
right
here.
Now.
Yeah, and the Orioles are plus 600.
Yep.
Now they do meet again. They still have a 3-game series, but it's a 3-game cushion now for New York. So for your sake, the win. What was the number again? 80.
I know Sean got it at 91.5. I wasn't good enough like him, and so I have 90.5.
All right.
But so they're at 84 wins right now.
150.
And they have 12 games left to play, so they just need to go 500.
Yep.
And you clinch that. They got this 3-game series here against the Giants. Then they host the Tigers, who are the hottest team in baseball right now. And then they got to go to the Yankees and then to the Twins to finish. So if they just go 6-6, I mean, this thing looked dead from, if you looked at this thing in July when they were 20 games above 500, you're like, this thing is so dead. There's no way I could have a chance at this one. But now they've opened the door and they've given, me and a lot of others who have the under a little hope. So, there's a famous saying, Brendan, in English soccer, it's the hope that kills you. So I'm hoping that this hope doesn't kill me and that they go 500 over these last few games. Hopefully they lose tonight.
Yeah, what's fascinating too is they might just get to the point where, all right, we're not winning the division. Let's set up our pitching for.
Yeah.
Now they'll probably still end up getting, because they have a nice lead over Houston for the 2 seed, so they'll get a bye. But they might want to manage their rotation at the end of the year just to have it all set up for how they want to align starters, right? So that might work in
Well,
your favor.
if they're not going to win the division, I don't think they're getting a bye. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. Because the Yankees and the Orioles are in the same division. My fault. Yeah, so right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's even more of the reason why they want to manage their rotation for
right.
wild card week.
Yep, it looks like. I mean, as of right now, they're going to play Kansas City
Yeah.
in the first round. Who has a 2.5? I mean, Kansas City's got a 2.5 game lead over Minnesota, and Baltimore's got a 2.5 game lead over Kansas City. So that's what it's looking like right now. And then, of course, the Twins are 3-7 over their last 10 games, and Detroit is the exact opposite. Now they're only 1.5 games out, and even the Mariners are 2 games out right now. So it's things are getting tight, and then this is when it gets fun. Like when we get down towards the end here, and when these races come down to the final day, I still remember so many times. What year was it? I think it was 2011 when the Rays hit a walk-off against the Reds, or 2010. Excuse me, that was 2010 when the Rays.
No, it was 11.
It was
Longoria in 11. It was 11.
Yeah,
Longoria.
That one sucked. I remember the Brewers and Cubs.
That was the chicken and beer year.
Yep.
Chicken and beer Red Sox.
Chicken and beer Red Sox. Yeah, that one hurt. I remember the Cubs and the Brewers having to play, game 163 because they were literally tied on everything going into the final day.
Right.
So, so this is going to get fun as we get down the stretch here in the especially the American League, and then obviously the National League. The Mets and the Braves are gonna battle it out.
I remember that in 11 because that was my freshman year of college, and I remember
that was my freshman year of college as well.
Right, so I remember oh, you're from Boston. Oh, I am too. Let's watch the Red Sox play in Baltimore, and they were in Baltimore, and the Rays played spoiler, and Longoria hit the walk-off home run. But you're at the point going into school, like, all right, Red Sox, we'll get Red Sox playoffs, right? The Patriots are playing, and then we're like, wait a minute, the Red Sox might not get in altogether.
Funny story about that.
What's
I got
that?
a funny story about that because I remember where I was when that happened. I was in the library, and I had the game on my laptop, and I was watching it. And
Humble
my
brag,
roommate
doing your homework.
My roommate was a massive Yankees fan, so I just didn't want to go back to my room after that happened. I was just like, I think I just went for a walk after that. I was just like, I'm just gonna go for a walk for a little bit and try to not think about.
Yeah, and you didn't want to destroy the camaraderie you had built at that point a month into your college life.
Yeah.
Right? With someone you barely know.
Well, that guy was my roommate all 4 years, so,
Yeah, it ended up working out. But what if you went back and stormed off on him? It could have fractured your relationship.
Exactly.
Yankees, Guardians looking like your 2 bye teams right now in the American League. And then Houston's going to have to play in that wild card round as the 3rd best division winner record as of now. With 15 games left for 12 games left for most teams. All right, we're going to skip Fade the Public. Not enough data for us to find an edge that's worth discussing. Speaking of the Astros, as you said, and you mentioned the Mariners in the AL West, but the West seems like Houston's going to be okay unless they pull a Red Sox 2011. The Mariners are somehow they figured this out. They made all those moves at the deadline. They fired their manager. And they're only two back. Now they got to worry about the Tigers, as you said, best record in baseball since the month of August began. You like Seattle today as a short underdog.
I love Brian Wu, and I'm probably going to bet him to win the Cy Young next year. I don't know if he's going to get enough innings, but he's awesome. And I've talked about him a couple times on this podcast, but the reason that he is so good is because, obviously the trend in Major League Baseball is elevated fastballs, right? And guys throwing balls up in the zone and being effective there. Well, he is somebody who has the lowest vertical approach angle of anybody and is able to throw those fastballs up in the zone. So he's incredibly deceptive and very, very difficult to hit. Now, with that being said, he doesn't just throw it up in the zone. It's not like a, Blake Snell situation where it's like 65% of his pitches are up in the zone. He does utilize it all over the zone and isn't effective there because the Yankees are the best team in baseball, not surprisingly, against elevated fastballs. But Wu uses that fastball to set up all of his other pitches, which have all been incredibly effective. All of them are allowing under a 280 expected weighted on base average. And overall for the season, he has a 2.57 expected ERA, which is the best mark in Major League Baseball. So he'll be going up against Luis Hill, who has kind of fallen off over the second half of the season, and it's his control that has really let him down. But not only that, because his walk per nine rate is up pretty significantly and his strikeout rate is down, but his stuff has gotten worse. He only throws 3 pitches, fastball, slider, and a changeup. And all of the stuff plus numbers on those have dropped. He was at 114, now he's at 108. So although the Yankees are, obviously a very good offense, I think the Mariners have a significant edge here in terms of starting pitching, and I think the bullpen matchup is pretty even as well. So projected the Mariners at minus 120. Big fan of Brian Wu, so I like them at plus 104.
Okay, excellent. And maybe that opens the door for Austin Wells, his Yankees teammate, for AL Rookie of the Year. We did a breakdown of that yesterday. Colton Cowser as well at plus 210 if it doesn't go well for Heel. He's slated to make 2 more starts, which would both be on the road at Seattle and then at Oakland. And that's probably it, unless the Yankees, they might work him in one more time. But if they've got the division wrapped up, they might be able to manage him. Because as you said, he had coming back from an injury, want to make sure you have him right for some sort of playoff run. But okay, you like the Mariners surging, and we'll see what happens with the Tigers.
Gosh,
they have been a good story. That come from behind win yesterday, huge,
Yeah.
and Minnesota blowing a lead late to Cleveland.
I know it's. I mean, just make the playoffs, Twins. Just
you keep telling me they're gonna be fine, but
now I'm like,
and the Tigers today have to.
The Tigers have done this. They did it against the Padres, I believe, a week and a half ago, where they were down 3-0 going to the top of the ninth. They scored 4 runs to win that game, and now they did this again. It's like, I don't know. There's some type of magic going on right now that I don't really understand.
All right, well, we'll sweat that out some more.
Yeah,
a couple more looks. You've got 2 unders that you want to give out.
Yeah, this is an ugly one. Mariners, Dodgers under 9.5. You look at these 2 starting pitchers,
Bobby
Miller and Macau, both have terrible underlying metrics. But I do think it's a smaller sample size with Macau, and obviously the Marlins offense is terrible. And I still do believe in Bobby Miller, even if his metrics have been terrible. He's faced a lot of good offenses lately, so facing an offense like the Marlins maybe should give him a little bit of reprieve. So under 9.5 there, projected only 8.7 runs, so I kind of like the under there. Plus, they'll have to close the roof because there's going to be some rain, which will obviously decrease the temperature, will create a more pitcher-friendly environment. And I also like the A's and the Cubs under 8.5 at minus 120. The Cubs are one of the hottest offenses in baseball right now. 125 weighted runs created plus over the last 30 days. But they do it a lot. They're not doing it. They're not having success against the 2 pitches that they're going to face from Mitch Spence, which is just a cutter and a slider. That's basically all he throws. And he's actually been very effective this season. 3.9 expected ERA for the year. The Cubs are below the major league average in terms of expected weighted on base average against both cutters and against sliders. The A's have a good bullpen. Cubs bullpen is trending in the right direction as well. So I like the value on under 8.5. Plus the winds could be blowing at about 6 or 7 miles per hour at Wrigley. So those are my final 2 plays.
All right, very good. Yeah, the Bobby Miller, poor guy. The home run has been a problem. I know he just faced the Cubs, the Angels. Okay, Bobby Miller, that's your guy. I believe.
Yeah.
They believed in Harvey Dent in Gotham. You believe in Bobby Miller, no matter what.
I still do. Yeah.
All right. Very good. 4 plays from BJ. The Giants with Blake Snell on the mound on the money line against Baltimore. Mariners, just over even money. Short underdog today against the Yankees. Dodgers, Marlins under 9.5. A's, Cubs under 8.5. Anything else before we go, BJ, as far as futures are concerned? Anything you got that's at the top of mind? I know we talked about the Orioles there briefly, and we've been giving the Tigers some love. But any final thoughts, futures wise?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
You're ready for October.
I'm ready. I think I can speak for anybody who's actually listening to this podcast right now. I'm ready for October.
I think a lot of people have been. which is a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah.
About less than 2 weeks to go. Playoffs start so 2 weeks from yesterday would be the off day. So 2 weeks from today would be the first wild card game of the MLB postseason. Be on the lookout for scheduling, as I mentioned yesterday. Just want to mention it again in case folks are filing in and folks pick their spots when they listen. I know it's a busy time of year. We are back to morning records Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. First thing. So when you're listening to this, you're getting the pods now day of slate. Hope that's all right. Hope that's working out okay. Just a lot of stuff going on. And as we get closer and we find out, which could be complicated based on who's playing when and which seed is each team, we will get out a schedule. But the deal is, what we've done the last couple of years is when there is a game, we will be on when there's a game Monday through Friday in the playoffs in the month of October. And then we'll, of course, have written content, short form video content on YouTube for almost every slate, but not necessarily in the Payoff Pitch podcast form. So download the app if you haven't done so already, actionnetwork.com, for all your written article form baseball content. For BJ Cunningham, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for tuning in. Payoff Pitch is Action Network's MLB betting podcast. You'll have a great Tuesday. We will talk to you again at the end of the week on Friday. See ya.